all banks must reduce or limit ATM withdrawal fees to a maximum of 25 cents per transaction. The banks have also committed to reviewing these fees over the next 12 months. This is sort of a transition period with the aim of reducing them further or applying thresholds based on the level of activity and type of customers in the system. I'll be as transparent as I possibly can. The end objective of the central bank is to have this as zero for own network, own account usage. Now, if a customer wants to go and use a network or an ATM that he does not or she does not bank with, charges, I think it is within reason, the central bank believes it's within reason for charges to apply then.
Yeah, in terms of, you mentioned that there were high-level discussions with the association. In terms of individual banks, from the onset, were there any significant pushback to these fees?
Boy, that one. I don't know. I think I should write a book on how this happened. It, yes and no. Um, I, there were moments which immediately after our first meeting that we could get this done, and then others which I thought that we couldn't. And I'll leave my response there.
Were there any consideration given to how this would affect the banking sector, or if this would lead to the reduction of ATM services across the country?
That one I don't quite understand. I think the case or justification for that is weak. And please don't let me say more on it. Let me stop.
As was mentioned earlier, banks are there to make money. Could then they look at other areas where they would increase fees?
Yeah, that's one of the things I had commented before, and maybe my choice of words was strong. Every time you try to put in a ceiling or a floor or a restriction in a market that is supposed to be driven by competition, you will have, or it's likely that you have negative consequences. Again, the mandate of commercial banks are solely to its shareholder, and that's a profit-driven mandate. That is a concern for us that it may be passed on, but look at the fees which we targeted. It is largely speaking to a vulnerable, marginalized segment. For every withdrawal, if you make 4 withdrawals for a month, that one loaf of bread, that's pretty harsh. So these things we have to take into a context. What we have implemented certainly will not bring any bank to its knees.
Is it common practice for the regulators to legislate these kind of fees?
A practice in terms of locally, no. This will be a first for the country.